development. It's a really exciting, and you develop in a coastal zone, it's complicated. And when you do it in a P3 partnership, you double down on complication. So, but it's been a blast, it really has. And I want to thank each and every one of you for your role in that. I'm going to try to move through this fairly quickly today. It's wonderful that we actually have a little bit of sunshine. I will say that thoughts and prayers go out to everyone that was affected by these sort of torrential rains the last couple days. It's really been a lot to handle. So, but here we are with a little bit of sunshine. So, so that bodes well for us. It's fascinating. You know, when we got involved in this project back in 2018, end of 2018, we had a vision for what the land side, and specifically the area we call the commercial core, needed to look like. And, but despite that vision, we wanted to sort of test our design with the public and the stakeholders here at the harbor. And so we launched into some design charrettes, some community outreach meetings. We had our design team assemble a bunch of photographs and images and ideas, priorities about what is possible. And it was a blast. We had people, you know, putting stickers on photos and answering questionnaires. And out of that effort came a few very important priorities for us as we finalized our design for the commercial core. One of those was more parking. One of those was more open spaces. One of those was more restaurant spaces, particularly spaces that had patios that open to the water. A greater priority on the water. More programmable spaces because people wanted live music and events down here. Even though we have a stable of great events, everybody wanted more. So we set out to incorporate all those ideas into our plan. And I will say that after those meetings, there was this guy who kept coming up and saying, Brian, more parking. Brian, more parking, more parking. And I'd say, well, what about the open events? Yeah, no, that's great, but more parking. And that guy was Don Hanson. So Don, rest his soul, played a huge part in, and it's very fitting that when we start the commercial core, which we're doing today, we're starting with a parking structure. And so what is the commercial core is really the heartbeat of Dana Point Harbor. It's where all the retail and the restaurants will be. It's where we will stage all of our events, our major events from. It is where Dana Wharf and Catalina Express stage their operations and transport people from. It is a very, very important and vital part of the harbor. So as we move through construction, it's really important that we be able to keep the commercial core open during construction. So starting with the parking structure is critical. Because when this phase, these two phases are finished, the first two of a 5-phase project, that will take us the better part of 3 years, we will have recreated the parking and finalized and completed all the primary ingress and egress to the harbor. So that will allow us to move freely through the following phases, the next phases, all the buildings, and still get people into the project, still get boaters to their slips, and basically give the public a vision as to what the harbor will be, because all those improvements will be done. So the first two phases, again, are going to be the parking structure and all the site work around the parking structure. And that's really Okay, so here's the message there. Come rain or shine, we're going to start this project. A little bit of rain never hurt. Anyway, so on the renderings, the rendering that you see here and the rendering over here, you get a feel for what the parking structure will be. It's going to have, Rick, how many spaces do we have in our parking structure? 984 spaces in the parking structure. The other thing is, I can't stand parking structures that are dark. And so what we did is we designed a central spine in the parking structure, which is effectively a skylight. And we opened up all four sides of the parking structure and the middle of the parking structure, so it's well lit, it's ventilated, and it's a healthy parking structure. The other thing we're going to have in the parking structure is boater service facilities. We'll have showers, restrooms, designated areas for the boater. We'll have designated parking for the boaters, covered parking, and they'll get the prime spots, by the way. And we'll have EV charging stations. We'll have cleaner vehicle spaces. We'll have smart car technology for identifying available parking spaces. We'll have motion censored LED lights throughout the structure. It will be the nicest parking structure in Orange County, I promise you that. And on the entrance, we'll have mature trees. We'll have sidewalks. We'll have and all this will be done in these first two phases. We'll have a beautiful pedestrian walkway that will take people from the parking structure into what will be the main gathering place in the project. It's going to be a very, very, very important project. I wanted to take a moment also to talk about the things that we've been able to do to get to this point, and then I'm going to roll right in to thanking all the people in this room and many who are not here today that got us to this point. Since we took over, we worked very, very closely with the city of Dana Point. And that involves, when I say we, that's us and our partners, the County of Orange. We did make some modifications to the project that required us to work very closely with staff. We did that. We needed to make sure that all of our changes and modifications lived up to our coastal development permit, and the staff did an amazing job, and our teams did an amazing job on getting all that work done. But we've been able to complete all of our plans for not just these first two phases, but for all the future phases, the other three phases in the commercial core. So once we start the project, we are permitted, fully permitted and planned to move forward through the project. So all that heavy lifting is done. The other thing that we did is we negotiated with the County of Orange's help our utility permits on the project. We have whenever you do business in a coastal zone, you have what's called a utility permit. You can't rely on utility easements that are perpetual. And those were very complicated documents that we had to negotiate. So with the county's help and working with the South Coast Water District, SDG&E, SoCalGas, we were able to get those agreements in place. So now we don't have to look back and we can move through the project freely. Tremendous efforts in doing that. I also want to say that thanks to Joe Uberoth, our partner on the water side, last year Joe started the docks and has finished 580 docks so far, and another how many under construction, Joe? Yeah, another 150 under construction. So by the time Joe finishes this next phase, we will have been completed about 34%, 35% of our entire dock build out. So we've not been sitting around between all of our plans, working closely with the county, with the city. We've started construction, and now we're ready to start construction on the land side. So tremendous effort. So now I'm going to move directly to thanks. Again, I'm overwhelmed. The size of what we're doing here doesn't represent the complexity of what we're doing here. It's a magnificent task, and again, so many people to thank for where we are. First and foremost, I want to thank our partners, the County of Orange. I want to thank you for allowing us to steward this amazing asset. We've always referred to Dana Point Harbor as the crown jewel of Orange County, and it truly is. To Supervisor Foley, she and her team have dove in headfirst into this project, and have done an incredible job. They have helped us get our utility permits in place. They are taking a very leadership role, working with our partner Bob Olson on getting our hotel entitlements in place. And we would not be moving at the pace that we're moving if not for her and her team. So Supervisor Foley, thank you so much. I also want to point out that Supervisor Foley has formed a kind of a task force here in the harbor because she is completely committed to transparency and in public outreach, and we embrace that, and we are participating in that effort, and I want to thank her for doing that for the community. I want to thank Chief Real Estate Officer Matt Miller. He's been incredible help, and his team, Zoila, Brian, and the rest of the group over there, they've done an incredible job. They're always available when we need them. They are doing a magnificent job on behalf of the public, monitoring everything that we're doing and keeping a record of it, and I can't thank them enough. County Legal Counsel. County Legal Counsel, Michael Habera, has worked very closely with our teams as well, and he's done a magnificent job. Public Works, wow. The permitting required on this project and the back and forth between our teams, Tim Corbett is here. They have done just a magnificent job, so we appreciate all their help. Orange County Community Resources, OC Parks, Pam, that crew, thank you so much. We continue to work very closely with them. I want to thank former 5th District Supervisor Lisa Bartlett. She'll have a couple things to say in a moment. She did some very heavy lifting to move this project to where it is today. And even former 5th District Supervisor Tom Wilson, again, who I mentioned started this process back in 27 years ago. The city of Dana Point, wow. Thank you to the city staff and the elected officials who are constantly working on this project tirelessly. I want to give a special thanks to former Mayor Joe Miller, who has done a magnificent job, the current City Council, Jamie, who we're going to be hearing from in a second. You guys are always there for us, and we appreciate it. City Manager Mike Killebrew. Kelly Renders, where are you, Kelly? Thank you for everything you guys do for us. Community Development, Brenda Kurth, Public Works, Mattson and Corey. Just an incredible partnership, and we appreciate everything you've done. To our Dana Point Harbor partners and our own staffs. Wow, I mean, at BWP, our entire team, Therese, on behalf of Scott, Steve, and I, you guys have just done a magnificent job. Susan, where's Susan? Give a shout out to Susan Reed. Not only has she been very involved in the development, getting everything ready and managing everyone, she's done an incredible operational job here at the harbor, instituted programs that make the harbor a better place, has worked very closely with all of our tenants, And she's just done a terrific job. Thanks, Susan. Diane, Nicole, I could go on and on and on. Bellwether, we talked about it. Joe, you and your team to move the water side, concurrent with land side, magnificent job. Bob Olson and his team, Tony's here, Dustin, all you guys have done an incredible job. I'd like to give a shout out to our design teams, many of which that are here too. Well, first of all, Citizens Business Bank, Dave and Dave. We have recently funded a loan with Citizens Business Bank, and they do business the old-fashioned way through relationships, and we couldn't be more appreciative to them and the fact that they're local. So welcome to the Dana Point family. SAS Architects, been with us since the beginning. Brandon, Nick, Brandy, the whole team over there. You guys have done just a magnificent job. The designs that you see here today, folks, were born out of that office and a lot of tedious meetings that we've had with their design team, and they've just done, again, a terrific job. Chode Architects, who you can thank for this beautiful parking structure that we're about to enjoy. Tate Engineering has carried the ball for us on a lot of different fronts on this project, and we very much appreciate Jake and Daniela and all your efforts. Lifescapes, Matt, Al, we kind of had it. We gave these guys an unlimited budget on landscaping to really make this place look terrific day one, and so they've done an amazing job with that. Josh Wesley, our construction manager on the project. I'd like to thank Snyder Langston and Bomel Construction. Snyder Langston is going to be doing all the site work in our phase 1 and 2, and Bomel is going to be building the parking structure. These are local companies. They're heavily invested in the local community. They've thrown the best and the brightest on their teams at this project, and we appreciate them very much. And the list goes on: legal, dry utilities, structural, et cetera, et cetera. I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce, who works very, very closely with Susan on a day-to-day basis. And I want to thank our utility partners, and I want to start with the Southwest Water District. It has been just a very complicated undertaking to negotiate these utility permits, and we could not have done it without the help of their team, their staff, Rick Shintaku, Jody, Taryn, just an incredible staff, and frankly, a great board of directors. Bill Green, I think I saw Rick earlier. Their board has been involved every step of the way. They represent their ratepayers fiercely, but they're fair. And I'm looking forward to being and continuing to be one of their largest ratepayers. So you guys remember that. SDG&E and SoCal Gas, you guys have been fabulous to work with, and really to the stakeholders and all the merchants, Bob Mardian, Bob Conrad, Jim Miller, Donna. I mean, you guys have been with us, and you guys have been so incredibly patient. You've done an incredible job working in buildings that are old and tired and ready to come down, but you charged through, you plowed through COVID, and you guys, I tell you, you guys are amazing. And then a couple voices in the harbor that are constantly supportive and important. I mentioned the late Don Hansen. He's been such a critical part of this project since the day he moved in, and an inspiration to us when we took over. I know he's smiling down on this moment right now. And James Lenthal. James has always been an advocate for the harbor and a strong and important voice at the harbor. We had an opportunity to sit down with James recently to talk about the Dana Point Yacht Club, which is a very important mainstay here at the harbor. And we talked about what we need to do to keep them here in the harbor and to basically put them into a new facility. And I'm looking forward to continuing that dialogue and getting that done. So now, let's hear from our featured speakers. And again, before I do that, from the bottom of our heart, on behalf of Scott, Steve, myself, Burnham Ward Properties, and the other partners, Joe and Bob, thank you for all you've done to get us to this point. In addition to being 5th District Supervisor, she is also chair of the Orange County Housing Finance Trust and on the boards of OC Transportation Authority and OC Fire Authority. She is also not new to local politics. She served on the Costa Mesa City Council and served as its mayor in 2018. Her victory in 21 and again in 23 with an expanded 5th District has made her a major player in Orange County and a strong voice in Sacramento. And that is paying dividends for us. She and her team have worked tirelessly on this project to date. I will say that she is instrumental in getting us to this point with our utility permits, and she and her team, Alyssa, I don't know where Alyssa is. She's amazing. They will be critical in getting us over the hurdle with the California Coastal Commission so we can get these hotels entitled. So thank you for all your efforts in that regard. Supervisor Foley is practical. She is extremely hardworking. She gets things done. She's committed to transparency and is determined to bring opportunities to everybody in the 5th District, and especially those that are less fortunate, and we admire her for that. I have worked with her for a long time, and I'm proud to call her my friend, and I would like you to please welcome Supervisor Katrina Foley.
Great day it is today. Hello everyone. I'm Katrina Foley. I'm your county supervisor representing what we all know as the fabulous 5th District. 5th District from Costa Mesa to San Clemente and the heart here in Dana Point. I've really enjoyed becoming the representative for Dana Point Harbor, partnering with Dana Point Harbor Partners and with all of you to make this vision, which I think is an amazing vision, come true. In the last year, my team has put in hundreds, literally hundreds of hours to make sure that we keep driving this project and that we don't let any day pass where we aren't moving towards construction. And so I want to just again give a shout out because you know, when you have a team of people, and we heard Brian talk about his team and how important Susan is and others that are really a core to moving the project forward. A core person in my team is Alyssa Napori, and she has done a phenomenal job, a learning curve for both of us. I mean, I'm a lawyer, but it was a tough learning curve to get all up to speed on all these different things, learning about utilities and permits and water and electric. You know, I was a planning commissioner, so I know about planning, but we've done a lot deeper dive into the construction field than I ever thought I would in life. And so, Alyssa, thank you. It's been actually remarkable, the amazing amount of work that we've put in and that we're able to get here today. This last year has just been all about driving to this moment. And so we hope this kickstarts what is going to be a lot more construction over the next couple of years. And, you know, I also want to, I'm going to keep my comments brief because you're going to hear from a lot of people. But I also want to give a shout out to our amazing county staff and the hard work that they have done, because it's a P3 partnership, but part of that partnership is the county. And the county staff, CEO Real Estate's office, our OC Parks, our County Public Works. They are, like was said by Brian, they are every single day at the ready, because their main priority is to make sure that they can support the effort by Dana Point Harbor Partners and not be an obstacle, not be a government bureaucracy that creates an obstacle. And so I want to give a shout out one more time to our county staff and the amazing work that they have done. They have a lot of extremely legal talent, construction talent. They're just an amazing group of people. So thank you to our county staff. And I'll also give a shout out to our new Dana Point Harbor Oversight Advisory Committee. I think some of you are here. Raise your hand if you're here. Yes, hello. Their feedback and ideas are helping us to activate the county side of the harbor. And you know, when I first came here, I thought, wow, the docks over here, they're kind of falling apart. There's no technology. What's going on? And so we put together a team, and where's Diane? Raise your hand, Diane. Diane Winslow. There she is in the back. She's working with our county staff, and we are going to have some great plans coming forward that will complement what the amazing, I mean, look at these renderings, amazing amount of work that's going to happen here in the commercial core. So thank you to our oversight committee. Tonight we'll begin those discussions about the harbor side, Baby Beach, Ocean Institute, and our Orange County Sailing and Event Center. We have some great plans moving forward that we look forward to sharing with you in the future. Yes, thanks. So, as Brian said, I've worked with Burnham Ward in the past in the city of Costa Mesa, and I've seen them transform something that was tired and old and outdated and not relevant anymore into something that is modern, inclusive, and a beautiful space for people to gather, for community, for memories to be made. And I know how important it is to not just move forward, but also move forward by remembering the past. And we have a lot in this project and in the development that will pay homage to those who really created the harbor and helped us to understand what the community needs are for the harbor, because it is one of the county's best public assets. And we want to make sure that we continue to make it a community place, a place where families can recreate and just enjoy the space. So I'm really excited about the future. I'm just grateful to be able to serve in this capacity. I am a hard driver. I'm not going to stop. There ain't no stopping us now because we got a lot more work to do. So thank you.
Good morning. I'm Scott Burnham, and I am CEO of Burnham Ward Properties. Thank you all for being here today. The sun's come out and it's shining down upon us, so this is all good karma. Brian, thank you for the incredible overview. You gave a great history, and I am just going to be bigger picture, not long-winded, so I will be brief. Thank you, Katrina, Supervisor Foley, for your nice words, and we're looking forward to working with you going forward. Listening to both Brian and Supervisor Foley, it occurred to me that the old adage, it takes a village, is no more appropriate than it is here in Dana Point Harbor. And the village is working with the county, it's working with the city, it's working with the community, it's working with countless other individuals that all kind of came together to make this day happen. And we're eternally grateful to all of you. Having said that, we have been faced with, the world's been faced with countless unanticipated challenges over the last several years, not least of which was COVID, which obviously caused delays. So today, as Brian pointed out, rain or shine, this groundbreaking was gonna happen. We're so happy to have all of you. It's an incredible turnout. I was a little bit concerned with the weather, that a lot of people would stay home. But we're so happy to have this turnout and have you all here to help us commemorate this very, very important day in Dana Point history. Putting a shovel in the ground is not only symbolic, but it also allows us to finally turn the page on Dana Point's history and move this project forward. So many great things to come that we look forward to sharing with you from this day forward. You know, whether it be tenants, whether it be buildings, whether it be, you know, our next project in the project, but we will be sharing all those things with you as we move forward with the project with full transparency. At this time, I'm going to move on, and I'm so honored to have the opportunity to introduce to you an individual who really championed the revitalization in the early days and was a real catalyst to bring it to public attention. She served as on the Dana Point City Council, and then was subsequent mayor. She was elected to the Board of Supervisors in the 5th District in 2014. She's held other countless positions, including being on the board of the OCTA, along with many other agencies. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Lisa Bartlett, who is going to give us a little bit of a history lesson on her days on the Board of Supervisors prior to Supervisor Foley. And with that.
Well, good morning, everyone. Today is truly a special day. Good morning, Dana Point Harbor partners, Supervisor Foley, Mayor Federico, and other dignitaries and guests in attendance this morning. There is a saying, good things come to those who wait. And if true, then the Dana Point Harbor Revitalization Project will be a great one. This project has been in motion for decades, delayed by the COVID pandemic and other things along the way. So today marks a very special occasion. It has been an honor to have personally worked on this project for around 18 years. Through my tenure on for the Dana Point Planning Commission, on the City Council, and as a county supervisor. When I was elected as 5th District Supervisor in 2014, it was my promise to jumpstart this project in earnest. At that time, it was to be a county-led $300 million project. I assessed our options and quickly determined that a P3 or public-private partnership was the best option. As you've heard this morning, we have tremendous and just phenomenal county staff, but we don't do things like building boat docks. And I didn't want to increase the staffing levels of the county. We've already got 18,000 employees, nor bond for the project and have the taxpayers held responsible. If implemented as a pay-go project, meaning you pay as you go along, and if it was paid for by the Tidelands Trust, because all money generated in the harbor stays in the harbor, this would be a 400-year project, based on the fact that it took 50 years to raise $50 million into the Tidelands Trust. The original project was slated for the commercial core and waterside areas only, so not the hotels and not the other areas in the harbor. I gave it some thought and decided that we needed to expand the project to include the entire harbor, and I worked with our county staff and my supervisor colleagues to make that happen. Even though it might take longer with an increased project footprint, this significant change would allow for an entirely new harbor with connectivity between the commercial core, hotels, and waterside amenities, not a piecemeal approach that would be problematic trying to blend the old with the new. The county crafted and released an RFP, request for proposal, and selected the Dana Point Harbor Partners, an absolutely stellar team, the very best in their respective fields. Burnham Ward Properties for commercial core, R.D. Olson for the hotels, and Bellwether Financial for the waterside improvements. And it's truly been a pleasure working with Brian Ward, Scott Burnham, Bob Olson, and Joe Uberoff. And now they have the loan agreement with Citizens Business Bank for the financing, and now the landside construction can proceed and move forward. I want to extend a big thank you to the harbor merchants and the many local stakeholders for your patience, perseverance, and engagement, and support you've provided along the way. I know there was a lot of moaning and groaning when I got elected in 2014. We wanted to get the project started, but I said we need to pull back a bit and take this out to RFP and bring in the private sector to help us out. And I remember the merchants saying, we've waited 20 years, Lisa, for this project, and you're gonna take another year for an RFP. But it was well worth it, and I think we're gonna end up with a much better project in the long term. About 2 years ago, I had an opportunity to visit the location where the new docks are being manufactured. The craftsmanship is incredible, and these docks will be 75-year docks, which gives us all peace of mind. People sometimes ask me, do we really need to make changes to the harbor, and won't it affect our small town harbor charm? My answer is that the harbor infrastructure is over 50 years old, and we can no longer keep patching things together. The harbor will still retain its small town harbor charm because of the 12 guiding principles created by former county supervisor Tom Wilson. And we will all enjoy a revitalized harbor that we can be proud of for generations to come. Today signifies another great milestone for this project, and it gives me great comfort to know that the Dana Point Harbor Revitalization Project is being led and implemented by the best in the business. Will be done in record time, starting now, and paid for without any taxpayer dollars. Well, now that the Dana Point Harbor Partners have the green light, let's push that gas pedal, get those shovels in the ground, and celebrate that it's full speed ahead. Thank you.
Our next speaker, we're going to hear from the city of Dana Point. Jamie was elected to the Dana Point City Council in 2018. He was commissioned as an officer in the United States Marine Corps in 1996 and served nearly 22 years on active duty. First as an infantry officer and later as a Cobra helicopter pilot. He served 4 combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan and held numerous command and staff positions, most notable as a commanding officer of Marine Light Attack Helicopter Squadron 369. He retired from active duty as a lieutenant colonel in 2017. Jamie is also a real estate investor and owner of a general construction company. He's a life member of Dana Point VFW Post 9934 and a member of the advisory brigade for the Dana Point 5th Marine Regiment Support Group. And by the way, his wife Alexis is also a former helicopter pilot. Thank you, Jamie and Alexis, for your service. Please welcome Jamie Federico, Mr. Mayor.
Brian, and all the Harbor Partners, thank you for continuing to recognize the city of Dana Point, including us. I remember being here in 2018 when we celebrated the signing of the lease between the county and the Harbor Partners, and not just the excitement that went with that, but the overwhelming sentiment that the physical infrastructure here at the harbor was long overdue for renovation. And if that was true in 2018, it's certainly more true today. So the irony is not lost on me that I am the last thing between us and the shovels this morning. I'll be very brief. I do want to say Dana Point is in the name. It's called the Dana Point Harbor. It's in Dana Point. So you maybe are not surprised how often I get comments about what the city of Dana Point should be doing down here. There are so many great ideas that people have about the harbor. The easy answer is to say, hey, thank you, but you understand it's the county's harbor, right? And sometimes I just do that out of simplicity, but the reality is, and you all, many of you in the room here know, this land belongs to the people of the state of California, held in trust by the County of Orange. And so we recognize in Dana Point the huge responsibility that you have to build that crown jewel that not only people in Dana Point, but people in Orange County and people from around the world will come and visit. So we are committed to being partners in that with you. We're committed to helping Snyder Langston through the construction. Our public works directors in the back, our community development directors here. We're committed to being a good gateway to the harbor. We recognize that everyone who comes to visit the harbor comes through Dana Point, and we're committed to integrating our community with what the future harbor looks like. So congratulations and good luck, and let's hit some shovels.
Concludes the event. I want to invite our speakers to come up and let's put some shovels in the ground, shall we? There are some gift bags at the back for everybody to grab on their way out.